Today's video is sponsored by Ridge Wallet. You'll learn more about them in just a bit. What would you do with $1 billion? Buy an island? Design the private jet of your dreams? Own your favorite sports team? Cure cancer? And look, a lot of rich people might tell you to use that $1 billion to make another $1 billion to make more billions. And then other people will tell you to give a large part of it to charity. But if you ask the people who run the city of Dubai, they'd probably have some different answers for you, and ones that might not make a whole lot of sense at first glance. They might advocate that you build a world record-breaking building that doesn't really need to exist, or dredge up sand from the seafloor to make a chain of islands in the shape of your peanut. Your Cleopatra's needle. Why? Well, because that's what you do in Dubai. Look, Dubai has got a truly stunning record of failed, failing, and otherwise useless megaprojects, and today we're gonna dig right in. Dubai as a city-state has experienced rapid growth over the course of its history, from a town of about 40,000 people in 1960 to a metropolis of over 3.5 million people today. As might make sense for a population increase in that size, working with the benefit of a booming economy and lots of surrounding space, Dubai's leaders have typically chosen to basically just build another little bit of city out of thin air whenever they need it. And to the city's credit, that effort is sometimes successful. Dubai's Business Bay, complete with 230 skyscrapers, is getting its finishing touches, and the Dubai Marina, built around an open saltwater canal, currently hosts about 55,000 people and a bunch of whales, which is nice. But at other times, Dubai's planned city extensions have had spotty results, and that's putting it rather generously. Take, for example, Jamira Garden City, imagined as a 9 square kilometer development at a price tag of, wait for it, $95 billion US. Originally, Jamira Garden City was conceived as a way to bring sustainable, eco-friendly housing at a high standard of living for about 250,000 people on what was, at the time, the fringes of the city. According to the developers, Jamira Garden City would be walkable, air-conditioned, landscaped in a way that reduces heat, and make considerable improvements on Dubai's usual standards for water use and reuse, energy efficiency, and emissions. It was also slated to open in 2015, and when you ask, would a project slated for opening in 2015 be announced? Well, that would be in 2007, just barely before the entire world was rocked by a financial crisis that put Jamira Garden City on an indefinite hold, from which it still has not been restarted. And indefinite hold, by the way, is often a code word used by Dubai developers and officials, which basically means, look, we'd rather not announce to the world that this project is cancelled, but it's cancelled. We cancelled it because it's not going to work. It's completely irresponsible. So look, the Garden City's been on hold for 15 years, so its prospects are not exactly looking brilliant. So are you tired of bulky, old-fashioned wallets? Do you want something sleek, something stylish, something easy to use? Then you need the Ridge wallet and also their key case. Yes, let me tell you, this is the coolest wallet that you'll ever own. Say goodbye to that bulky thing. I was carrying around a bulky wallet since I was like 18, and I just got rid of it and got a Ridge. It holds 12 cards. I've got 3 in there, like a normal person, but if you've got 12, they will all fit. Plus, there's cash on the back. It doesn't come with cash on the back, but there's a place to keep cash on the back, and it's also got RFID blocking technology to keep your cards secure. This one is the burnt titanium one. I love how this looks, but they also have 30 different colors and styles to choose from, including, like I say, the burnt titanium, carbon fiber, and a whole lot of others. Plus, Ridge is so confident that you'll love their products that you can test drive it for 99 days and send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. This is the keys, the key case, basically a Swiss Army knife for keys. It's brilliant. No more fumbling around with a giant mess of jangly keys. So if you want to get your hands on the Ridge wallet and the key case, make sure to check out the link in the description box below, or go to ridge.com/sideprojects, and don't forget to use my promo code sideprojects for a 10% discount. That's ridge.com/sideprojects, promo code sideprojects. And now back to today's video. Next up, there's Al Maktoum International Airport, which, according to Dubai, is slated to become the world's largest international airport when it's completed. A sister airport to Dubai International Airport, which boasts status as the world's busiest airport for international passenger travel, Al Maktoum was envisioned as a way to take a clearly booming airline market and give it a second base of operations. Al Maktoum wasn't just meant to be an airport either. It was meant to form the heart of an entire transportation city, one that could provide travelers with all the help and logistical support they could ever dream of. And now, we're going to put aside the fact that going to an entire city built as an extension of an airport terminal sounds like a literal literal nightmare and instead focus on what's actually happening at Al Maktoum. To be clear, the airport is open, and with an estimated completion date in the late 2020s and a price tag of $82 billion, it's got quite a bit of hype from Dubai officials looking to send air traffic in that direction. Its planned 5 runways and 3 passenger terminals make it an ideal international hub for the type of traffic Dubai is hoping to accommodate, and there's certainly enough air travel in the region to keep Al Maktoum busy. Except that nobody really seems to want to go there. A handful of passenger airlines have set up shop, but each of them only sends air traffic to 1 or 2 airports around the world. Flynas, Saudi Arabia's low-cost airline, operates with 3 destinations from Al Maktoum, but all 3 are also in Saudi Arabia, reducing their role in Dubai to basically a shuttle service. The UAE's flagship airlines, Emirates and Etihad Airways, haven't yet touched the airport, and Fly Dubai offers just 1 flight to Bahrain 5 years after announcing that Al Maktoum would become their new hub, and a full 13 years after Al Maktoum first opened. As for why this has happened, it appears that no airline has been interested in moving their hub from Dubai International Airport to Al Maktoum, yet another example of a world record-breaking project in Dubai that turns out to just be a white elephant that nobody actually wants. Its construction has continued to suffer delays with a concerning lack of meaningful updates, and other than filling in for Dubai International Airport when the runways over there need to be maintained, there just doesn't seem to be anyone with a desire to fly in or out of Al Maktoum. These days, the airport mainly hosts freight operations from a total of 4 airlines. And look, we couldn't do this part of the video without at least touching on Dubai Land. Now look, we've already done a video on the entirety of Dubai Land over on our Megaprojects channel, so check that out if you'd like to take a deep dive. But for now, suffice to say that Dubai Land was a planned 107 square mile mega theme park that would easily have become the world's largest. With a price tag that was 3 times Dubai's GDP at the time it was conceived, Dubai Land would have integrated Western attractions like a Six Flags, Universal Studios, and Legoland, as well as a Formula One racetrack and parks themed around DreamWorks and Marvel Productions, alongside a gigantic Ferris wheel and themed areas with names like Leisure and Vacation World, Sports and Outdoor World, and Eco Tourism World. As Dubai saw it, the park would be able to attract tens of millions of visitors every year. As for why Dubai wanted this behemoth, it was conceived as a major way of diversifying the city-state's revenue streams, taking it from port city dependent on the oil trade to an economy with parallel ventures in tourism, giving it the ability to withstand, say, a financial crash that would cripple the oil industry. And as for why it failed, well, that would be a financial crash that crippled the oil industry, specifically that nasty little one in 2007 that had also doomed the Jamira Garden City. The interest Dubai Land had secured from foreign backers mostly dried up basically overnight, as Dubai was clotheslined in the face by the same economic bogeyman that it had been trying to escape. Look, if you're a believer in this and thought that Dubai could thread the needle just right to make Dubai Land work if the 2007 recession had ever come, then fair enough. But it's worth noting that the entire concept of Dubai Land was built on the same premise that doomed the other mega projects that we've discussed and the ones that we're going to discuss later. There's just not that much of a reason for it to exist. But putting aside the fact that about half the world's population, that is to say women, would be well within their right to conclude that they were straight up unwelcome in Dubai, there's also the prohibitive cost of actually getting to Dubai, and the fact that aside from putting a bunch of big name parks in one place, there's really not much of a reason to go. Not to mention the price becomes even more prohibitive when you consider that in order to actually benefit from all of these things being together, you're now looking at a vacation measured in weeks rather than days. But regardless, it just doesn't matter because most of the project has been abandoned, except for Legoland and a few other scattered parks and a Smurf village for some reason. All of what does exist is crammed into a little spot of desert measuring no more than a few square miles, although the area is labelled on Google Maps in far greater detail than when we made our Dubai Land video just a couple of months ago, so maybe hello, government of Dubai? Speaking of taking photos of Dubai from space, even a very brief glance of a satellite map of the city would make it difficult not to see the group of massive artificial islands currently sitting just off the coast. The ones that look like palm trees? Well, those are the Palm Islands. The one that looks like the world? Well, those are the World Islands. Creative, we know. So, we've already established the government of Dubai excellent at naming things. Turns out what else they're excellent at is dredging up billions of cubic feet of sand in order to make these islands, partially in an effort to dramatically increase the amount of available coastline and beachfront property available in Dubai, and partly in that same drive for tourism that we mentioned before. Now we'll start with the good news. The Palm Jamira, which first began being constructed in 2001 and despite a myriad of delays, is actually completed. It hosts long lines of tightly packed villas on each of its fronts, along with a whole bunch of hotels and resorts, as well as the first monorail in the Middle East. Sounds about right. But once you look past the Palm Jamira, the situation gets a whole lot worse, and pretty quickly. Palm Jebel Ali, which was planned to be about 50% larger than Palm Jamira, has had its breakwater constructed, and, well, that's about it. The island, which was supposed to host a whole mass of theme parks and about 250,000 people by now, is instead basically just an idea that's been blanketed with lawsuits from investors and people who were promised residency on the island. According to Dubai, the project might restart this year, but given all the other stalled island developments that we're about to cover, we're not exactly holding our breath right now. The Dubai Islands, a separate series of 4 artificial islands, were supposed to make up a third portion of the Palm Islands. A good amount of the sand needed for the project had been dredged up from the ocean by the start of 2007 and the financial crisis, but like many other endeavors on this list, the crisis put a stop to that construction. It was initially planned to host a 2-kilometer-long night market, the biggest in the world, and a mall which, when measured by square footage, would also have been the largest in the world. Along with that, it would have hosted 80 hotels and up to 8,000 villas. But at this moment, it's just some sand off the coast of Dubai. And then there's the World Islands, yet another archipelago off the coast. This collection of 300 islands is in the approximate shape of a map of the world, split across a rough approximation of each of the world's countries. The general concept for the project was that an interested buyer could own a villa on a given island, which they'd then have all to themselves. A person could then say they owned an individual country, and they owned China or Russia or the UK. Makes a ton of sense, doesn't it? Now, a lot of the islands have been claimed at this time, with others having been given away to some famous people, but the vast majority remain untouched by developers. As of now, the island of Greenland has been turned into a showpiece property under the ownership of the Sheikh of Dubai, while another couple of islands host hotels. But brace yourself, because these are the only ones that have at least had their construction work started. Now, if you've kept up with the basic theme of today's video, you already know that the next idea is going to be bigger than the last one in some way, and what's bigger than the world? Well, that would be the Universe Islands, which were expected to dredge about 3,000 hectares of land in the shape of the solar system and the Milky Way. Tragically, there's not much to say about this one. It was announced in early 2008, slated for completion around 2023, paused in 2009, and then quietly mothballed in 2015. And finally, there's the Dubai waterfront, a combination archipelago and canal that would have arched around the Palm Jebel Ali, the second of the 3 planned Palm Islands, in order to make a rough approximation of the Islamic symbol of the Star and Crescent. This would have made a far larger breakwater for the Palm Jebel Ali, a bay inside the Crescent, and 70 kilometers of coastline, with room, according to Dubai, to host another 1.5 million people. As of now, though, construction has yet again been minimal, and there's no indication that it'll pick up anytime soon. As for why this particular series of megaprojects went down the dredging tubes, well, there's a lot of reasons. Firstly, yet again, the financial crisis of 2007 took a heavy toll, but it also bears repeating that even if some wealthy people around the world might be interested in filling up 1 or 2 Palm Islands, there's just not that many rich people that desperate to move to Dubai. Even the first Palm Island is only about halfway full at present. Add to that the massive environmental implications of dredging up this much of the seafloor, and it's not exactly a good look. But all this is still before we point out that Dubai is just surrounded by empty desert. There's plenty of land to expand to, it's just not the sort of land that technically gets to be sold as premium beachfront property. Then there's also the issues with dredging and creating islands in this way. In the example of the Palm Islands, the necessary breakwater formed around the islands helps to prevent the tide from swelling up and over the entire thing, but it also causes the seawater within the break to stagnate and oxygenate. A couple of gaps in the breakwater do help with this issue, but they certainly don't fix it. Residents there complain of the smell, the mosquitoes, the algae blooms. The bigger problems, though, are erosion and sinking. All of the islands are prone to sinking into the ocean over a period of decades, while the navigational channels between them begin to fill up with drifting sand, basically just taking the whole thing back to the sea. After eroding artificial islands, after the bonkers theme park and the airport that no airline wanted, we come to Dubai Creek Tower, which should currently be rising about 1,300 meters or 4,300 feet above Dubai right now, vastly surpassing the Burj Khalifa and solidly one-upping Saudi Arabia's planned Kingdom Tower, which would have stolen the record for the world's tallest skyscraper if it had been built unopposed. Yet another attempt by Dubai to secure the world's biggest something, the Dubai Creek Tower would have been built as an observation deck for a price of about $1 billion while emitting a beam of light into the sky at night. A slender, curvy design, the Dubai Creek Tower would have been supported by a net of steel cable stays with an estimated opening date prior to Dubai's Expo in 2020. But as you can probably guess by now, Dubai Creek Tower does not exist. After a groundbreaking in 2016, the project was officially delayed in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which seems fair enough. But what that official statement conveniently left out was that there hadn't been any work done on the site for 2 years previous after a contractor finished up the foundation in May of 2018. Since then, a contract for construction hadn't even been awarded, and the pandemic turned out just to be a happy accident to facilitate a much longer delay of the project. As of now, the Dubai Creek Tower has been indefinitely suspended, although that might just be for the best. After all, Dubai's Burj Khalifa, still the tallest building in the world at the time of this writing, has been mired in debt for years while dealing with a sewage system that has become famous for relying on a long line of poop trucks to ferry out waste every day. Given that the Dubai Creek Tower would have been an even taller, similarly expensive, yet even less functional space, perhaps it's best that the whole thing has gone up in a cloud of dust instead. In hindsight, this video might have done well as a drinking game. Take a shot every time something in Dubai is supposed to be the world's biggest, longest, largest, or otherwise record-breaking something or other. And look, we've not even touched on monstrosities like the Dubai frame, which, yes, we suppose is technically the world's largest picture frame. This all appears to be the long-term strategy for Dubai. Produce a city-state that is unlike anything else in the world because, by Dubai's logic, sheer uniqueness is what will drive a booming tourist economy. But in order for that strategy to work, you've got to build the things. And once you do, they've got to work as advertised. A tourist might come to Dubai to see a single developed Palm Island or visit Legoland, but they surely aren't coming to stand on an empty lot where a crazy tall skyscraper might one day be. And we didn't even get into all the other factors that might drive tourists, especially Western ones, away. Highly restrictive laws around gender, sexuality, and alcohol consumption, a complete lack of support for foreigners who want to stay past a few weeks, and a tendency to keep foreign workers trapped in the country by confiscating their passports. But beyond that, there's the simple stubborn insistence that no, none of these projects are cancelled and none have failed to live up to expectations. They're awesome. Everything's going great. I think it's a bit ironic, after all. If Dubai would just admit that these projects weren't going to happen, we might not even be making this video. After all, rich people burning their money is certainly not a new phenomenon, and the elites of Dubai are far from the only ones doing it. But when you're laughing maniacally as you throw billions upon billions into the flames, well, that's just a special kind of spectacle, and one that's probably best watched from afar.